all over the place. Grateful to see you guys. But what's going on, champions? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Breakfast of Champions call. Grateful to have you on here. And can you believe this is going to be our last call of 2024? And I don't know if you feel this way or not, but I feel excited. I feel anxious. I feel thrilled, but I feel a little bit of anxiety. Does anyone else feel that way? Because it's this deep breath of, okay, 2024, we're kind of figuring out. You still have holidays, you still have New Year's, you're still wrapping that up. But you're also thinking, because we've been preparing mentally for 2025 for a while, and it's finally here. Well, today, my goal is to share with you a message that I hope that you take to heart. I'm going to ask you to dive deep today. If you're okay with that, like if you're in team chat, say, I'm diving deep today. And I'm going to help you do some heart surgery that will make sure that you're able to launch the next year with not a false start, but launch it straight into your goals and everything. If you don't know who this is, my name is James Zhang, chairperson level 2 in Partner Co. I've been in this profession of network marketing for 15 years. And one thing that I've learned is this, is that the business is simple, but people and life are hard. True or not true? The business, you learn some systems. We have a 1, 2, 3 system here, right? Attend and grow this Breakfast of Champions call. Post 2 times a day on social media, your personal post and your drops, your business testimony with engagement sandwich. Aim for 3 enrollments a week. That sounds simple. And it really is, right? If you just follow the systems in place, you're going to be able to accomplish that. But why is it that with something so easy to do, it's also easy not to do? It's because the greatest challenge to succeed, as Jim Rohn would say, is really ourselves. And I want to share with you some tips today that I've learned through going through hell and back, that I know have held me back and allowed us to go in a relatively short amount of time from losing everything, from thinking that we were absolute failures and imposters and thought we were going to quit network marketing, to this last year achieving a miraculous year. Business in this organization literally 10x this last year. This organization is within the top 10 of the entire Partner Co world out of 200,000 partners. And literally it exploded. Now, how was it able to happen? Well, I'm going to bring you back to when it all really got started. So, back in 2017, if you know our story, our first network marketing business fell for a variety of reasons. But it took us from hero to zero. It took us from the stage and recognition to almost being in the basement of our house. It took us from our dream home to renting a converted office turned bedroom that we had to rent from my mother in law's. And at that bottom of the bottom, I almost gave up. Maybe I'm catching you in that season, or maybe you've been in that season before. And what I realized was, as hard as I tried to work, because one thing I did know is I shouldn't quit, but who here knows that not quitting is not the same as winning? So I learned that there was 3 things I needed to deal with in my heart to totally remove the shackles of that past so that I could launch towards the year of freedom that we're all embarking to. You ready to take some notes on here? I'm going to ask you some questions and dive deep into this. When I went over and I overcame these 3 things in my heart, everything changed for me, and it will for you as well too. Here's 3 things that you need to leave behind in 2024 if you want 2025 to be your year of freedom. Number 1, blame. Blame. All of us have been through things in our life where other people have been involved and there's been painful experiences. In your business, let's be real. There's people that made promises to you that did not fulfill on their promises. Prospects that said they would join or buy. There's teammates that said they would run with you towards the end. Maybe it's your corporate partners that didn't fulfill what it is that they promised. There's things that have been done to you that have hurt you, and it's hurt our heart, right? In that year, I had mentors of mine that literally did things that hurt us and other people. I had 95% of our team that said that they would run to the end of the world with us, and they left. And at the bottom of the bottom, I remember I was blaming a lot of different things. I was saying, man, if only my mentor didn't do this, things would be different. Man, if corporate only did this or didn't do that, then things would be different. Wow, if my teammates were more serious, if they were actually more committed, then things would be so much different. Have you ever caught yourself in the blame game before? I love Pastor Rick Warren. He's the author of the best-selling book, Purpose Driven Life. Most best-selling book of all time besides the Bible itself. One thing that he says is this, is blame is spelled be lame. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, how do you say that, James? People were intentionally hurting me. Maybe it was things in your relationship. Maybe it was things in your family. And there are some bad people out there trying to do bad things. I'm not trying to discount those things. But what I realized was this is any single time that I choose to blame someone or something for how I feel, for how my life is, for any area, I automatically remove my opportunity to actually take control of that. Are you hearing this, champion? What are we blaming consciously or subconsciously? Because any of those areas, while it might have been a true thing that happened, an invalid thing that happened, and I pray for you that there's healing in there. The biggest thing, though, is if you want to overcome it, we have to shift from blame to ownership. From blame to ownership. And even if it's out of 100% fault, if it's 99.999% their fault, if it's even 0.0001% fault myself, then we have to take ownership of that little bit because that's the only thing that you can control. We cannot control other people, but we can control ourselves. So I remember, for example, I was blaming my mentors because there were some leadership decisions that were wrong, that literally drove some people into a very bad position. You know what I started realizing? No one forced me to make the decision. No one forces you to make a decision. We're all our own autonomous being. And being in a business like network marketing or being in this world, we have the freedom to choose. And while there might be stressors and there might be pressures and all these different types of things, at the end of the day, I chose to comply. You chose to make that decision. So take ownership on that. So I owned that. And I said, you know what? It's my fault. It's my fault. I listened, but I learned. And when you start to take ownership on the things that you once blamed, then you're able to start learning and growing from it. You know what blame is? It's really a lame way of shirking your responsibility and not even confronting the problem. Because it's easy to blame, it's easy to complain, it's hard to take ownership, it's hard to take charge. But I'm challenging us here, champions. If you're willing to do the hard things, then you're going to live a life that other people are not willing or able to live. So think about yourself. I want you to make a list, heart check before you get into the new year. What are things that I'm blaming? What are things that I'm blaming? There was a comp plan change that happened. And that was one of the big things that changed up our business because our system was structured with a way that the old comp plan happened. And I blamed that. My man, all of our leadership was blaming that. If corporate didn't make that change, look at where we'd be right now. Things are going good. You know what, though? That's my fault. That's my fault for not being a great leader to pivot, to understand, to lead through that change. Ironically, the change of that comp plan now, years in hindsight, was the best thing that ever. It actually paid people more, but I just wasn't ready to pivot. So, what are the things that we're blaming that we need to take ownership of today and to overcome? All right. So, number one, blame is what we need to leave behind in 2024. If you're still with me, put one in the comments below, or if you're in your chats, let your team know. Okay. Number two, the second thing to leave behind in 2024 is bitterness. Bitterness. So, I evolved from the blame game. I'm like, all right, I'm taking ownership. I got this. I'm going to suck it up. And all right, my fault. I got it. I hear it loud and clear. But if the second part is a device of the enemy. It's a little root that can happen when bad things happen. Is all of a sudden I realized, yes, I took ownership on situations and I started to lead out of that. But the second thing I had to deal with is deeper and even more bad. And that is bitterness. What's bitterness? Bitterness is when all of a sudden in your heart, you have lodged in there a negative feeling towards someone else. I was looking at my mentors. I'm like, all right, I took ownership of that. My fault. But I harbored in my heart resentment. I harbored in my heart hate. I harbored in my heart bitterness. And I remember thinking towards these people at that time. I was just like, how could they? They should have known better. If only they did this. Don't they realize? Have you guys had these thoughts? Some of us here, to be honest, still have bitterness in your heart that you've harbored there for years. Some of us have in our heart, honestly, bitterness in people that have passed away. There are mentors, there are parents, there are siblings, there are friends, there are acquaintances, there's social media people that ghosted you that we have bitterness towards. There's yourself. There's bitterness that's lodged into there, and you know it's lodged in there. I want you to do a little bit of inventory, but whenever you think about this person, whoever that it is, do you have a knee jerk reaction? Right? Do you have this do you have this negative feeling that comes out? I want to challenge you that whenever you have that type of a negative feeling, to dive into that further and to dissect that. Because any single thing that you have bitterness towards, bitterness actually comes back and it bites you. Bitterness holds you back from achieving your potential. It's like if you're running in a race and you want to win this sprint, this marathon, you're wearing a weighted vest. And all of a sudden, you're like, why can't I run fast? It's because we're harboring some bitterness in our heart. So, how do we get through bitterness? It's really hard. But I want us to look at those moments and those people that we have that towards. And instead, let's flip the script. Gratitude. I've done in another Breakfast of Champions call. You might want to watch that on bocpodcast.com. But I say that gratitude is God's frequency. If you want God to show up in your life, if you want miracles to happen in your life, if you want freedom in your life, it all starts with gratitude. Okay. And what am I saying gratitude for? Gratitude not for the situation, not for the hurt, not for the pain. There are horrible things that have happened for sure. But gratitude for what you have learned through that. Who here can recount a time that in your life you learned an amazing lesson that changed you forever, but it came out of a bad moment? Think about that. We don't like the pain. But what's that saying? No pain, no gain. God uses these things, even the bad situations, to teach us how to overcome, to teach us the best things. So start to flip the script. Instead of getting bitter, get better. Someone needs to put that in the chat somewhere. Instead of getting bitter, get better through the situation. So I started to look at these relationships and I thought to myself, how can I be grateful for this? Well, you know what I learned? I learned some key leadership awareness. The reason why I'm able to lead and connect with people today and have empathy today is because I went through those really difficult moments. It's when I went through feelings of betrayal and loss and bitterness, and I know how it feels to have your heart broken, your dreams shattered. I know what it's like to lose everything and feel like you're just about to give up. I'm grateful for those lessons, and I'm investing that into my future. God never wastes a pain. But you have to allow yourself to go into there and flip the script. So I learned how to lead better. I learned a lot about finances. I learned be wiser with your money. I learned just connect with people as people. One priority that I have, one philosophy I have in business, and I say this all the time, Is business relationships come and go, seasons come and go. We don't own anyone, especially network marketing. Company doesn't own them. You don't own them. We're all independent. So, I flipped the script and I said, hey, there's a season. My mentors and I, we had a season together and then it ended. Grateful for that season. And then we had a shift. You have seasons in your life. You have seasons in your business, don't you? So don't worry about the things that are changed, shift. And now I'm grateful. I look at my mentors now. We're the best friends ever. Best friends. They were at our baby shower and everything. No bitterness. Why? Because we shifted the gratitude. I thought about all the good times. You know what's sad about bitterness? Bitterness veils and it covers all the good things. Because the reality is, in any situation, there's both good and bad, isn't there? We have to make sure that we are careful about the filter because the world wants us to naturally go and look at everything in a negative way. But you have to choose, champion. You have to choose to get better instead of bitter on that. So, where are places in our heart that we're still harboring bitterness today? I want you to confront that. And I want you to then write it out. Just be like, hey, this happened, this person, this person, this person. And then I want you to extract the lesson. What are you grateful for? I know it's going to be hard, but you can always be grateful for something, can't you? If you're still with me, put a 2 in the comments if you're listening to this or in team chats or anything, okay? So bitterness. So we talk about blame to leave behind in 2024. We talk about bitterness to leave behind in 2024. Let me leave you the final one. This is probably the biggest weapon that the enemy can use to keep you back from your breakthrough, to keep you back from your freedom. You ready for it? Number 3, judgment. Judgment. Oh man. I get challenged with this because I like to feel like I'm a good person. I get challenged with this because I consider myself pretty self-righteous. And growing up, if I'm to be very honest with you, because I did not have a good self-esteem, I made up for it with you can call it a religious spirit. You can call it a judgmental attitude. I would try to be perfect. I try to do everything perfect and be perfect and think perfect. And any single time someone was not at my standard, I put a judgment. Oh, you're not good enough. Oh, you're such a bad person. Oh, I can't believe you did that. In our business, there's so many things that'll happen where we look because we're all broken people. We all fall short of the glory of God, right? So we are all broken. So what happens if we're not careful is judgment comes into our heart. And what is judgment? Judgment is us taking the place of what only God can do. People can't judge. What's judgment? Judgment is us placing a filter and a label on someone for who they are, the value of that person. And here's a really big issue. The reason why there's a lot of struggle in the world is because people place judgments on each other. Judgment is when you take someone and you lessen their value from their God given value. I believe we're all made equal in the sight of God. I believe we're all made in the image of God. And the moment that I place a judgment on Sally, the moment I place a judgment on John, and I say something like, they're an evil person, they're a bad person. In the moment I attribute anything that is not how God designed people to be, I hope someone hears this today, all of a sudden judgment creeps in my heart. And what happens is it starts to ruin my heart and it starts to infect other areas. Why is judgment so serious? We are standing in the place of what only God can do. And we think we're better than other people. Oh man, I'm talking to myself today. Why is this so important? Who here wants more influence in your business? Who here wants to explode 2025, make more money, have great relationships, have amazing leaders come, right? Put a me in the comments if you're able to. If that's the case, here's a saying: that with which you do not love, you have no influence over. That with which you do not love, you have no influence over. So you cannot love somebody or influence someone if we're judging them. It doesn't matter what I say. If in my heart of hearts, I think this person is bad, I can say the nicest flowery language, but that will always infect. Who here's ever talked to someone where you knew they were saying all the right things, but on the inside, it just was not aligning? Energy is caught, not taught. So, how do we deal with this? It's not a skill set thing, it's a heart set thing. So, what do we do instead? It's hard. Instead of judgment, forgive. Forgive. This has changed my life, guys. This has taken me off of my high tower because I used to be a super judgmental person. It was ridiculous. It was icky. It was, you wouldn't have liked me. So self righteous. Ask my wife. But then I realized the truth of things. Here's the truth. We all have problems. Here's the truth. We all have pain. Here's the truth. We're all trying to do our best. Here's the truth. None of us are perfect. We're all going to hurt people. If you're married, you know, right? You're going to hurt people. It's just because we're broken. So instead of judging people, I forgive. I forgive. And when you forgive, it allows you to remove that negative thing that happens when we judge. And it doesn't matter how they choose to feel or not. They could hate your guts, whoever you're choosing to forgive. Maybe you need to forgive yourself. But it allows you to have freedom over control in this area. And you have the freedom to love one more time. So I thought about the people that I had judgments on over life. And I said, you know what? I forgive you. I forgive you for what happened. You must have been going through something tough. Here's another quote. Hurt people hurt people. True? So if someone hurts you, you know how I look at it now. I'm like, they must have been going through some tough stuff. I don't know. You have battles that I don't know about, don't you? You have battles that probably there's some people in the world that have no idea. Maybe only you know. Don't you think the other person on the other side probably has battles too? They have traumas, they have hurts, they have hangups, they have betrayals, they have tough things. They're going through battles that are unseen. So any single time I see that there's someone that's hurting other people, I understand hurt people hurt people. So instead of judging them, I now forgive them. I now bless them. I'm like, gosh, I'm so sorry. My heart breaks. When I see someone hurting other people, my heart breaks because I'm like, something happened and that hurts them a lot. Okay. Now I forgive. Now I want to make a note on this. Forgiveness does not mean condoning bad behavior. Forgiveness does not mean continue to be in the toxic relationship. There are relationships you do need to cut off. I have had to cut off relationships in this past year that were toxic and negative. But you know what I do? I don't like cast them off in a judgmental attitude. I'm not like gone. I'm not like, all right, see ya. I'm like, I bless and release. I'm like, you know what? I love you. Nothing you do will ever change how I feel about you. You could do the most horrendous things to me. It will not change. My automatic stance is I love you. Why? Because you're made in the image of God. So, and I don't, that's just who you are. I affirm and I honor you as a unique creation, as a unique human being. But I'm not going to be around you. But until you change, I cannot be in this relationship. I need to protect my space and everything. So know that forgiveness does not mean keep on staying in that relationship. In your business, there's some crucial conversations you might need to have. In your business, I do an inventory. Where are some relationships that are not healthy? You might need to confront a mentor, a partner, a prospect, a teammate, a customer. You might need to have these conversations. So bless and release for some of these people. But I cast people off. I don't cast them. I just leave. I just separate. And I'm very transparent. I honor the person always, but I'm not judging them anymore. You know, I realized is this. I end with this story. One of the superpowers that I think I've had is longevity in business. I've been in the same company and same product for 13 years. We've been through every single thing. We've been backstabbed. We've been betrayed. We've been let down. We've been through financial distress. We've been through everything, right? We lost teams, lost organizations. It all happens, right? And one of the biggest things I think that's been a superpower through that, a blessing through that, how do you have longevity? You have to guard your heart. You have to guard your heart. You know why most people don't stick in something for a long enough time to succeed? They don't guard their heart. They let blame seep in. They let bitterness seep in. They let judgment seep in. And I want to give you today's from blame to ownership, from bitterness to gratitude, from judgment to forgiveness. These are things, don't just do it at the end of 2024. Do this daily. We have to guard our heart every single day because out of our heart flows all things, right? And I believe you, champion, have amazing goals and amazing things this next year to be done. I believe that there's dreams that need to come out of you that the world needs to see. I believe your family needs you to step up. I believe your friends need you to step up. I believe you need you to step up. But unless we deal with these tough things on a daily, consistent basis, and we deal with these heart sets, then you're going to be constantly capped at your reaching your potential. It's hard, but it's worth it. I promise you. This next year, we've declared to be the year of freedom. You know, the biggest freedom? Let's just free our hearts of all this stuff all the time. You can choose to live this way. It's so much more worth it. And business works a lot better that way. All right, everyone. So, other than that, we went deep today. I hope you're committed to doing this deep dive. I hope you really actually take action on this. I will promise you're going to look back into 2025. I'm like, wow, that was such an amazing year. Why? Because you remove these roots, these big, big issues. All right. If you're committed, type I'm committed in the chats below or with your teammates. Tell someone about this. And you might want to share this replay. We put all these replays on bocpodcast.com. My commitment is to unlock you. Let's go do this thing together. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining us on this last Breakfast of Champions call for 2025. And I can't wait to launch it. Friday, we have Dana Harper launching our new year. Can't wait for that. So, with that said, I'll toss it back to you guys. God bless and finish the year strong.